Hello, hello. We are here with Lavender Shadows, episode 7, the holy number.
I was just about to say that.
Great minds think alike. All right, so we're here with another episode of some good old Burning Wheel action. And I'm excited because we are in such a good place with all of these characters. They have fun things going on with them.
Define good.
Interesting. That is my
I mean, clearly everything has gone right for all of these characters.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. They're all in great places
all
right
the time.
Every single one of them has a bright future ahead of them with nothing but happiness.
As players, we've all gotten great roles all the time.
Definitely. So, first off, I would like to refer this stream to these fun little new character portraits we have. Yeah, so I commissioned a guy to do sketches of all the characters. So I'm gonna go show them off on my ones. There's good old Marco Tisby with his drop dead gorgeousness on full display. We got Marguerite Leblanc. I think Marguerite.
Look at those sharp cheekbones.
I know, right? I think Marguerite is my favorite out of all of these, the sketches. It's basically exactly as I imagined Marguerite in my mind. And then Josephine, who looks the most like the actress that
She looks very angry.
Yes. So what was funny is initially the sketch guy, the artist had her smiling and Vivienne frowning, and I was like, you have to switch those around. And so now she's frowning and Vivienne is smiling. Yep. And then here's good old Vivienne. Yeah, I like them. I like the sketches.
Vivienne is so adorable.
I know, isn't she? Like the player who plays her. All right. So first, of course, we're going to start off with beliefs, instincts, and traits. Marco Tisby, would you like to read those off for us?
Okay, so beliefs: I can find the killer. I will find justice. I will find out what happened to Ference. I can find a better life. I will bring my family out of poverty. I will prove I'm the right man for the job. I will investigate Kleber, see how big of a butt face he is, which I kind of did.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's always more. Instincts: I always have a knife on me. I always make sure to know who is in the room. I always have an alibi ready. Traits are rabble-rouser, shrewd, drop-dead gorgeous, chronologue, odd, frugal, emotional, cold-blooded, jaded, and thick-skinned.
Very nice. Marguerite Leblanc.
I am important. Who is the Xanatos to think otherwise?
3 question marks.
Yes. My needs come first, then Isabeau's needs, and everyone else. I will learn to better understand Isabeau. I am better than those stuck-up dancers. I will prove to Benedicta that I am not the same as them. And instincts: I always try to flirt my way out of problems. If anyone tries to ask about my personal life, I try to deflect or change the subject.
Keep in mind that you can always, if you think of something else that she does instinctually, you can always fill in that 3rd slot.
Yes.
But you don't have to.
But once again, I don't think she has a whole lot going on besides those things, you know. Traits: flowery, colorful, fretful, industrious, tolerant, downtrodden, and I have a sonorous voice.
Yes, you do. And so does Emily.
Wow,
yeah,
thanks.
You're welcome. Especially when you do your Georgia accent.
Which is not that.
I know. Josephine Boulet.
I want to learn all I can about the ancient world. I will find a way for the magic to be used. The ancient language must not be forgotten. I will continue to teach Vivienne. The magic must be used. I will convince Jocelyn to assist me.
Perfect.
If someone has romantic interest in me, then I push them away. If someone asks me about sign language, then I will begin to teach them. Always call out a liar. Traits: rabble-rouser, ink-stained hands, no nonsense, strong, headstrong, traditional, sophisticated.
You also have
bookworm.
mark privilege, bookworm, and driven. Yeah. And last but certainly not least, Vivienne Auguste. Bless you.
Thank you.
I believe someone can love me. I will find them and return the favor. I believe I owe Jill much. I will heed her advice. I believe Matthias and I belong together. I will get my father to recognize the danger the Kleber rumor could bring to the Auguste house name. Instincts, always be kind, even in the face of disrespect. Never neglect to send a swiftly written reply to a letter. Always have a good book on my person. And traits, rabble-rouser, earthy smell, salt of the earth, sophisticated, headstrong, traditional, and dive traits. Affinity for plants, mark of privilege, and deaf.
You're also
I'm also down to earth.
Down to earth. Yeah. Awesome. All right, we have plenty of places that we could begin. Who wants to start off? Not Carly, okay. Who wants to start off with a scene? Who wants to jump in? Because we could pick up the investigation with Marco. We could find out how Marguerite apologizes to Rowan Darcy. We could find out what Joe is going to do to gain magic. What do you think?
I really have no idea how Joe's going to gain magic, so not me.
Okay. Marguerite LeBlanc, thank you for volunteering.
Oh, you made me start last time too.
Do you want?
You always choose me.
You look guilty.
Yeah, because I don't know what's going to happen, and I feel bad for hurting a poor old man.
Mm-hmm.
He's not that old.
I mean, he's kind of old.
I mean,
He is 40. Okay, he's 43. He's not that old.
Yeah, he's not that old.
oh, okay. I thought he was much
I think
older.
He's come off as older, but
Wow, if I knew he was only 43, I mean, maybe.
yeah, he's only 43.
That's not even a 20-year age difference.
True.
Okay.
Suddenly the world has changed.
No.
Is that what this conversation is going to be instead? I've changed my mind.
No, I have money now, so I really don't need
That's
him.
true. What were you saying, Alyssa? I couldn't hear you.
Isn't he played by James Brolin?
He's played by James Brolin, but apparently,
Isn't James Brolin in like his 70s?
he's pretty old by now. Yeah, but
So I'm like,
yeah. Imagine a 40-year-old James Brolin.
See.
The power of movie magic made him look younger.
I really had no plans
Okay,
for what was
does
going to
anyone
happen. I
actually
need help.
have a plan for a scene?
It's been like a month and a half.
It's been a while. Because otherwise,
been a very long time.
I can probably set a scene too. Okay, so Marco, you get a knock on your door. Your place in the Harmony Opera House you've been staying, and it's your uncle. You know, you answer the door and it's Mr. Bertrand Crozier, played by Woody Harrelson. And he's kind of like wringing his hands, and he looks at you and he says, Marco, my boy, how goes the investigation? And it's kind of obvious that's like not the question he's meaning to ask, but like it's like small talk sort of a thing.
What do you really want?
Marco, it's been a couple of weeks now, and it doesn't seem like you've gotten any further in your investigation. I am paying you to accomplish a goal. What do you have concrete to give me? You said you were suspicious of the Klebers?
Yeah, one guy I can't remember the name of. What's his name?
Oh, the steward that you met?
The guy.
The steward that we got drunk.
No, the other guy, like the main guy. What's his name?
Frederick. Yeah, Frederick Kleber.
Frederick seems suspicious. Other than that, my only other lead is kind of in the morgue, or whatever the equivalent is in this area.
Right, yeah. The charnel house.
The catacomb.
Yeah. The burial pit outside of town. Yeah, so he says, my, there are associates in the, guild of merchants that I, am a member of that are... They've told me, they've pressed me to have this conversation with you because the longer we let the stain, the shadow of my dear friend's murder hang over this opera house, the more my business will continue to be run into the ground. The nobles are losing faith in our ability to handle this problem. Now, they didn't like Maxence very much, but an aristocrat murdered. Well, some of them are... Marcou, another noble, was murdered yesterday.
Great. Someone I've heard of?
Possibly. Do you know of Lord Quentin Bouveau? Lord Quentin is actually the guy, he's like a military dude, he's a nobleman, who, he was like the first guy that you're like, oh, maybe it's that guy, because he has like a deep voice and no facial hair, and it kind of matched the description. But apparently he got murdered yesterday. And he says, Bertrand says, he was poisoned.
Same kind of poison? Do we
I'm
know?
not entirely sure.
At this point, I think it's safe to assume.
Quite possibly. Marcou, if you don't discover the identity of this murderer soon, I may have to hand this investigation over to the proper authorities, and then you'll lose your chance. You do realize I do want you to prove yourself here. I want to be able to give you this opportunity, but my hands may be tied.
I'll go investigate the new murder, see if I can find anything new.
Good. Yes, good. Thank you. And Marcou, be careful.
When have I not been?
He just nods.
Gestures to the leg.
Right. Yeah. So Bertrand walks away. Do you go immediately, or?
Well, nothing else is
Right,
happening.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So you show up to this guy's like estate, I guess. And an unfortunate familiar face greets you. It's like one of the same officers that was there at that first site of that murder, when Farron got murdered. And he's like, talking to a servant in the kind of like courthouse or courtyard of the estate as you enter. And he's like talking to the servant, and then he like notices you and gives you like just a stink eye. What do you do?
Just walk past him.
Yeah, just walk past. Okay, I think you walk past, and another servant like kind of greets you, kind of comes up to you and says, yes, hello. Who are you, and what is your business here?
I'm here on behalf of Mr. Bertrand Crozier.
Oh, yes, of course. This is right. You're Mr. Tisby.
Yes.
I got word that you might be arriving. Yes, it does seem like the murder here is strikingly similar to the one.
That's what it sounds like.
I can take you to the... Well, he woke up this morning, and the servants went into his bedroom this morning and found him like that. He's still there. They haven't...
Lead the way.
Yeah, he just kind of uncomfortably leads the way. And you hear from behind you the officer like kind of like raise his voice at the servant he's talking to, and he says, "Why does he get to go in and not me?" And then like you get led past and into the place. Yeah, so the bedroom is, lavish, but not like gaudy. Like, it's obvious this man, he was a military man. He knows the value of minimalism, of not like being frivolous with his wealth. But it's nice. And his like bed sheet is like, laid over him. He's obviously like laying on the bed, dead. Yeah, I mean, what do you do? What do you check out first?
I just take the sheet off the body just to check it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he looks like... I mean, I guess the test here is probably something like anatomy or whatever, like to know more about like the actual like manner of death. It looks like, it doesn't look like he got stabbed or anything like that, obviously.
I couldn't use not murder wise.
Yeah, you can use murder wise. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think, let's see, because anatomy would be the better skill here, but you could use murder wise. It would just probably be a little bit more.
Well, I don't have anatomy.
Right, I know, exactly.
So it's going to be worse.
Yeah, exactly. So, let's see. Wises. Yeah, I think Ob2 murder wise test. To learn some valuable information from his dead body.
Is there anything I have I could fork in? Because that will at least make it go up by another routine. Because currently it's a difficult rating.
Difficult. Don't know. Only thing I can think is streetwise, but I'm not entirely sure if that makes sense. Let's see. Streetwise is the etiquette of the city streets. The skill helps the character. Yeah, that's probably not relevant here.
Read the whole thing again. Just
streetwise is the etiquette of the city streets. This skill helps characters navigate urban centers safely, allowing them to find places only a native would. So it's like your knowledge of the city. Yeah.
Could I possibly fork in rule of law, like remembering?
Well, that's kind of what murder-wise is, right? Murder-wise in this case is like you remembering past cases, sort of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the short answer is, the only thing I could think of is that or brawling to see that fit, like to know that how it would affect, but if he was in a fight, but
yeah, but it doesn't seem. It's probably obvious.
Okay,
it's not the case
so
here.
it's just gonna be a wasted roll then. That's whatever. I guess actually I have Artha. That helps make a routine.
Okay, yeah, you have 3 persona.
Wait, is it fate or persona?
So persona you can spend to just give yourself an extra dice, up to 3 per roll. And then you can also
and fate's rerolling.
Fate is rerolling. Yep,
that's right.
Yep. Yeah, you got.
So I'll use that's 1 Artha then.
Yep, you put 1 in the Artha box. Yeah.
Okay, it's been a while. Base ob 2. Nope. Okay.
You can technically still spend 1 fate to reroll that failed dice. You have 50/50 chance.
May as well. 1d6 greater than 4 or greater than 3?
Greater than 4, because it's greater than or equal to is what it sets it to be.
Okay, that's what I wasn't sure about.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Cool.
And that's the murder wise. And so what do I do now?
So it doesn't count. It's a challenging test for you because that's why, because you
No, it's not.
No, it is because you have a wound still.
Oh, frick.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah. But you succeeded.
I can't unmark it.
You just click the first box again.
Oh,
yeah.
I did. It wasn't doing it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you still got it though. So you find, I mean, obviously the guy died from poison, as your sight confirms this. And it the look on his face looks pretty eerily familiar to the sort of thing that happened to Maxence. This similar like seizures. It seems, just by the way his body is contorted. But the thing that really kind of, I mean, the thing that also clues you into this is apparently he was fond of taking what's it called? Taking wine before bed, and so you see like a goblet of wine next to his nightstand or whatever it is.
Is this?
Go ahead.
Keep going if you have more.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Turn to the servant. Turn to the servant. Grab the wine. Says, "Who brought this to him?"
Yeah, he frowns and he says, I don't actually know.
Who would know?
One of the other servants, maybe, or probably the steward. Usually it would be a servant named. I need to come up with a name off the top of my head, and I was frantically trying to think of one, but I can't. So give me a second. Usually it would be a servant named Brion, but he's actually been on leave. A relative died. He went to prepare the funeral preparations. I'm not actually sure who brought the wine to him tonight or last night. I'll find out. You can wait here. Look around more if you need to.
Is Brion? Did he leave town or is he in town?
Yes, a neighboring city is his relative lived in. I don't really know the details.
Okay. So he's not close.
Not that I know of, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, and
because that's like exactly the same as what
eerily similar. And the servant leaves, and I think you notice something interesting about just the room, and you notice a strange. I'm trying to think of what exactly this reveals itself as. You see a trying to think this makes sense with what I've figured out. It almost looks like dust, but you step on the floor. So basically what happens is you're kind of looking around the room, and you notice like what amounts to like a patch of dust on the floor. And it doesn't make any sense because this room is used often. It's obviously been dusted, but it almost looks like there's like just this weird squarish patch of dust on the floor. And then what, would you like kneel down to investigate it further, or?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and you notice it's actually one thin sheet of like grayish, really light grayish material. You know, about the size of like a cloak maybe, like that kind of size. But it's just this like, it's almost as if like the thinnest veneer of a cloak was shed like a piece of skin and was left here.
So it's like, wait, I'm trying to understand. So it's like,
it's literally if a cloak, if a snake was a cloak, and the cloak shed its skin, That's what this is.
So like, it even has sleeves and everything.
Well, it's like a cloak, so it has like, it looks like
It's more like a cape then.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
not quite like an actual garment in terms of like sleeves or anything, but yeah, a cloak, cape.
And it looks like it's made of dust.
It looked like
Like
that.
see-through
Just
dust?
yeah. I mean, it's kind of the consistency of it, but it doesn't actually fall apart when you like pick it up. It's like this really thin veneer.
We found a magic item. I'm just kidding. Cloak of dustiness.
The cloak of dustiness.
Gives +1 to asthma. Okay, that's
It is very
strange.
Or
strange.
it's the cloak of asbestos and it gives +1 to mesothelioma.
You were then Tisby turns to the camera and says, if you are a loved one, you know it's
Yeah, and I think after you like looked at that for a little while, the servant comes back and says, no one remembers who brought the wine this evening. I think the steward thought that he didn't ask for wine. No one remembers him requesting it.
well, it's here, and it's why he's dead. So currently everyone here is suspect.
Yeah, it kind of pales. Do you just spend the rest of the day interrogating everyone? Is that what happens?
Well, I'd ask him first about I was asking does this look familiar to you? Like the weird dusty
He
cloak?
frowns and he shakes his head. I have no clue what that is.
Okay. Is this a kind of time when fingerprints were a thing?
No, not quite.
Okay, so I wouldn't care about
Mm-mm.
wearing gloves or anything with
No.
it. I mean, I guess, yeah, I spent some time interrogating everyone, seeing what kind of information I can get.
Okay, yeah. Just roll there. How are you approaching it? Persuasion or intimidation?
Let me see. Could I do persuasion, forking in intimidation, and rule of law?
Yeah, that sounds right.
So it's two modifiers. Not gonna bother with any Artha. What's the actually? What is the actually? Can I decide if I want to do any Artha after you say the ob?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
What's
the only
base
thing
ob
that
then?
happens when I give you the ob is you have to make the roll. Anything else you can just
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I already said I'm gonna do
Yep.
it.
I think. So, what is your intent exactly? What information do you want?
I want to figure out what happened the night before. Get an idea of get everyone's stories, look for inconsistencies, that kind of
Right.
stuff.
So, get an accurate picture of what happened the night before that might have led to someone sneaking in here with wine. Okay.
Mhm.
I think that's gonna be a little difficult, so it's gonna be an ob 5.
Oh well, this isn't happening.
Right now, you are rolling with 8 dice.
With the wounds, that's 7.
You can spend 1 or 2 of your persona, and you have fate still.
Even 2 persona would just make this a die flip, but I may as well. Give me a second. Persuasion. 2 modifiers. 2 Artha. Base ob what again?
5.
5.
Whoa,
There we go.
Nice. That was a good roll.
And that's
Yeah, mark that difficult. You
which
need 1 more challenging, and then you upgrade it.
And that's 5. Where's the P go that I spent? That's on the bottom one, so it's 5 there.
5. And I'll put in, or you already put in 1 for the murder wise. Okay, cool, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So, Marco, you get the picture of the night before. So what happened was, this Brion, right? He's usually the guy. He's one of his favorite servants. You find out Brion was actually his shield bearer or armor bearer or whatever it was in the military. So there was a master servant relationship, but it was deeper than that. They knew each other pretty well, and so that's why Brion was let to go, arrange this relative's funeral. Normal servant probably wouldn't be given that privilege.
Is his shield what you
like
said?
an armor bearer when they were in the
Armor
war or
bearer.
whatever, when they were soldiers together. His like man-at-arms assistant person for like a noble knight or whatever. And so he didn't make a request to anyone that remembers, and everybody like confirms that fact that nobody was asked to give him wine that night. But someone does remember, and you only find this out because the guy like finally admits, after like you can sense that he's holding something back and hiding something, and you eventually crack him. And it, the reason he didn't want to tell you is because he was actually sneaking in the corridor to like have a secret tryst with one of the serving ladies. And he wasn't supposed to be in that corridor at that time, but he did see a guy who was dressed in servant's garb, though he did have a gray black cloak on, which he thought was weird, but it was a chilly night, so he was like, okay, whatever. And he was bald and didn't have any facial hair. And he like was making his way towards the guy's chamber with a thing of wine. He was going in the direction of the guy's chamber. And you probably, the last detail he gives you is a servant. Well, I guess what happened is the guy who was sneaking in the hallway said, like, I probably should have intercepted him. Now that I'm thinking back on it, it was probably really suspicious, but I didn't want to get caught, right? And so I didn't mention it to anybody. And the steward is looking at him like, how dare you, like, you endangered the whole household you lived with murder, and he gets really angry. So
does the guy know what time it was?
Yeah, you said it was probably like late, so like 11 p.m., something like that.
Does the guy have any more description, like how tall the guy was or anything like that, or did I already know that?
I think you get a good description of the guy, right? I think the guy has a pretty good memory. The servant does, and gives you a good description. So you think you could pick this guy out if you saw him again. You get a good police sketch of him.
Do I literally sketch him? Do I have the? No, you don't have the ability
to.
But I have a good mental image at least. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You can ask some more questions, like specifically too.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of what to ask, and if I need to ask the police guy that. Trying to think of what other questions there are. I mean, this description's the same.
So the description that you got, he looks like this. I'm gonna post a picture on the Roll20 page. He looks like that. That's your description you get.
Who's that?
You don't recognize the guy. Like, you don't recognize.
No. Which actor? Is that?
This is Mark Strong.
Man, I said that, but I was muted.
Nice.
Didn't slip it in early.
I think of other questions I could ask them. Brought him wine. This is a slightly relevant question, but is the wine that he had the same wine he usually? This could have been like anyone. Is the wine that was there the wine he usually has?
I mean, are you gonna taste it?
No. I'm asking them, like, is this the wine he usually has? Like, by looking at it, like smelling it. Can you tell me?
Yeah, I guess the steward of the house probably like gives it a good sniff and like looks it over. And I think he says, yes, this seems the same type of wine that we usually give him. Nothing about it necessarily seems out of the ordinary.
At that,
Yeah, and when he says that, I think you take another look at the guy's face, and a strange like kind of difference in the way that this guy looks versus the way Maxence looks kind of like triggers in your mind, and you think it might be let me, you know what, you think of
Maxence again?
Maxence as the original guy who died.
Okay.
You think of whatever other questions you were going to ask, go ahead and ask them. I need to look up something real quick to make sure.
Well, I was actually hoping it was going to be a different wine.
Okay. Yeah, the wine seems.
So I guess another question I asked is like, where would he, whoever took him this wine, where would he have gotten it from? So like, go to the place where the guy would have.
The cellar or whatever. Sure. Yeah. So.
Kind of like keep my eyes out for any more signs, obviously. Oh, and I asked the steward about the weird cloak thing too that I found.
Yeah, he has no idea. He's like, who knows? He says like, I don't know, bring that to a clothier.
Okay. Other things, there's the wine, there's the cloak, there's the dead guy. I don't know, I'd probably just go to the cellar. I honestly can't think of any questions I would ask.
Yeah.
Unless you guys have questions you think I should ask.
Yeah, I'm gonna renege on what I said earlier. There isn't like a weird difference in the way that he looks.
Darn. I was gonna get a clue. So go to the cellar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You see some like boot prints in the you see several boot prints in the dust of this cellar. But from your memory, like, and interrogating the servants, the only two people who come down here are the steward and Brion. Do you want to maybe make some sort of? I'm trying to think of what it would be. It might just even be a perception test. Just to see if you can see if there's like another pair of boot prints that aren't supposed to be here. It would be observation, I guess. So you're being learned in that right now.
Oh, okay, so I'm not planning on getting this then.
I think it's just gonna be an odd one though. It's gonna be like what's the word? Graduated. So the more successes you get, the more you know.
Additional complications?
Nope. Okay, yeah.
So
the basic information. You recognize that there is a third set of boot prints, but you really can't delineate like the differences between the three in terms of like what kind of boots they are or any more details about the person. But your suspicions are confirmed. There was another guy down here, and he probably took some wine.
Second. I did think of another question. I'm trying to find back the stats.
Mm-hmm. You can mark another bubble on there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I turned to Stuart to say, who would have been watching the entrances?
Yeah, they say.
This is like a noble house, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like they have guards. Yeah. He's like, he leads some guards, I guess.
I guess I'll question the guards. So this.
Yeah. This is just the same rule, pretty much. You're just.
Okay, I was gonna say.
So what questions you ask them?
Go to the guards who are at the entrances and say like if they saw anybody. Obviously someone got in. Say like, what the heck?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like any of them remember anything suspicious happening last night. I think the one detail you get out of them is one guy admits that he fell asleep at one point during his watch, but he swears it was only for a moment.
What time?
Probably around 10. He had been up really late the night before.
Since they didn't see any like servants go in or out, or did anyone go in or out?
Brion left that evening to go.
He was the only one. No one came in.
Yeah, as far as they know, yeah.
And one of the guards that fell asleep, where was he stationed at?
Probably like one of the side entrances to the estate, where people would like bring in supplies and stuff.
So that's probably where the guy got in.
Probably true, yeah.
So the steward's glaring at him now too.
Yeah, yeah. The steward is realizing you're like shedding light on all of the flaws of all of these people, and the steward is gonna have a heyday. Like
as the steward, as they're walking away from that guard, that he probably turns to the steward and says, "Looks like you guys need better help."
Yes, and the steward's just like, "I think you are correct, Mr. Tisby."
I think this is probably the point where I'd start asking questions to the steward instead. So, what relation did the original murdered guy have to new murdered guy?
Oh, Lord Maxence Bechard to Lord Quentin Bouveau. It's a good question. I mean, obviously they're all kind of like distantly related because they're all aristocracy. But he can't really think of anything in particular that like any particular what's it called? Connection, yeah, that comes to mind between the two of them.
They know each other?
He nods and he says, yes, they know each other. I believe that Quentin Bouveau is a second cousin of Mr. Bertrand Crozier. Some distant relation there. Mr. Crozier, of course, is one step away from nobility himself.
So sorry, wait. The murdered guy was second cousins to my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm technically related to this guy.
Technically, then. Yes.
I don't say that, but
yeah, and the steward I think says this, and then like kind of like coughs to himself and says, "It's Lord Bouveau's commoner heritage is not something that we typically speak of in polite company."
I'm not exactly. I kind of just chuckle and say, "I'm not exactly polite company."
That's exactly why I'm saying it in front of you.
Dang it! I was hoping they'd have more of a connection. So they were.
You could ask who's going to inherit his estate next. Is it your uncle?
That's actually a good question. Like, who's going to inherit the estate now?
Yeah, the steward frowns. He says, "I must admit, I have not considered that. The stress and the shock of the entire affair has got me a little muddled. I suppose I could look into the ledgers for you if you are willing to wait."
How long would that take?
I shouldn't think more than an hour.
I might wait to hear that, because that might be... Let's just say there seems to be a lot of convenient happenstances that happened with the last murder, and I'm curious if the same thing's happening here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so let's... I think what happens is we see you kind of waiting, and then we'll cut to some other scene. Who else would like to jump in here and do a thing? Who do I want to jump to? Marguerite obviously has to have a conversation with Darcy. Joe's going to try to convince other Joe.
Or I can just avoid
That's
him
true.
forever.
Yeah, you can just completely avoid it. Last session, you said you had an idea on how to apologize to him, so that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, but I didn't write that down.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
I know, because I'm like, I know I had an idea. I mean, I have an idea of something else to do that doesn't have to do with Darcy that I would be willing to do, because I want to find out more information about Xanatos.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. How do you do that?
Can I like try and like roll a circles test to see if I would know somebody who knows him
Know
or
somebody who
something
knows
like that?
Xanatos. Yeah. So what's your exact intent? How much do you want them to know about Xanatos?
I just like kind of want to know like where I could find him
Okay.
or like where he would spend time so then I can further investigate to like
Yeah.
go talk to those people who like the bartender if he goes to a bar all the time. That I can like the person that I find doesn't have to be the bartender, but they can just be somebody who also likes going to that bar and has seen him there.
Okay, so you are looking for someone within your circles. So someone in the city. So within the same setting, probably around the same social class as you, who happens to know where Xanatos frequents. What sort of place Xanatos frequents? So I think that is going to be an ob 4 circles test.
Oh,
yep.
Geez,
It's kind of a specific thing.
Okay. I know.
You have 2 cash die to throw around. You can literally just spend both of those on the circles test and just bribe people to tell you.
But then I still have to roll, right?
Yes. You get 2 more dice to the test, but you still roll. You could do those 2 dice. You don't have a reputation or an affiliation. You could spend a persona on that. You could find. You know what, Marguerite? You do have someone. You have a relationship with someone who could be much better at knowing where Xanatos is because he went to this person's ball. You could go call up baby daddy and get him to make a circles test for you.
Oh my gosh! Oh no.
Those are probably your 2 main options at this point.
Yeah.
To actually succeed.
So I don't want to throw around the money that I just got.
Walk around with a bucket full of gold. Hey, does anyone know where Xanatos is?
Yeah, I don't want to like waste the money that I just got trying to do this, but also I don't want to have to go to Kleber, who I haven't spoken to in so long, and ask him for something. Well, maybe I could. Okay, yeah. I think I'd go that route. I don't think I can part with the small amount of money that I have to my name.
Okay. Perfect. So what does this exactly look like? Do you literally like just go to his estate?
Oh yeah, because this won't start rumors.
I know. I'm honest. This is so perfect though. The perfect time for Marguerite LeBlanc to show her face again.
I know. I think I would try and like go
because you have many relationships. You could literally just say, "I meet him here." Like I find him here. It just have to make sense, for.
I think since I met him like through
The opera house.
The opera stuff, I would think that like I would know his routine like around the opera, like he always like showing up whenever we start new productions or like something like that, or like auditions for new shows to see who all the new people are going to be.
Marguerite, this is what happens. We see you after a particular performance. You just the standing ovation has just been given. All the performers have bowed, taken their exit, and the nobles and gathered aristocrats and merchants, or whoever else has gone to see this performance, are kind of milling around, and you're kind of, at the edge of the kind of core, like antechamber, like main antechamber. You're like right at a side door, so you can kind of like peek out at like everything's going on, and you notice that Lord Kleber is in attendance, and he's currently walking in direct like He's going to show up right next to your door as he walks through this place. And of course, he has a young lady on his arm, like he always does. And this young lady is, cute is probably the word that describes her, right? So, brown hair, cute face, seems sort of shy. You don't see her talk at all as you kind of, going through.
She's no competition for me.
He has another girl on his arm.
No, it's you, Vivian.
Yeah, piece that together very quickly.
Oh, yeah. I'd be looking and I'd be like, he's no competition. I can get him away from her. Like, no problem. This is
you're right, but
so as he's like walking by, I kind of like poke my head out and I just kind of like look directly at him and say, I need to speak with you.
Yeah. So he pales and he says, I'm sorry, I don't think we've had the pleasure.
I just kind of like give him a look.
I feel like there's a role involved here. What do you like? Are you doing? What? There's actually so many of your skills could be used here.
I know.
Which one do you want to use? Vivian, how are you reacting to this random woman?
If he's
she's confused.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, what's happening?
If he's gonna treat me like this, then I will go, oh, I'm sorry, I have not made your acquaintance yet. I know who you are, but my name is Marguerite LeBlanc. I'm part of the opera, and like kind of do a whole formal introduction of, I guess I'm trying to think like what it would be like if it would just be straight out like it'd be like acting false or like falsehood.
Acting probably. Because basically what you're trying to do, right, is give him a way to talk to you.
Yes.
That would be completely innocent, completely normal. And maybe one thing you could do, Marguerite, is maybe part of the falsehood part of it, because you could probably fork that in, obviously, is maybe you say something like, I heard that your family is looking for, dancers for a certain thing or performers to do a certain thing, right? Have it be completely like,
yeah,
I just want a noble to give me money, right? Like that's the whole ploy.
Yeah.
Because that's believable.
Yeah, so because he's acting like this, I would like to do this acting and like make it very conspicuous of me like doing this, like, oh my goodness, I have heard about your family searching for entertainment and I would love to try and show you my talents. Wink. Can I fork in seduction?
Yeah, of course.
Excellent. Okay, so this would be an acting test. What's the ob?
Because this is really for Vivian's benefit. That's really what this is, right? It's to give him a way to not have Vivian be suspicious.
Which she's not even hearing any of this.
That's very true, but also other people around.
Yeah.
But she can also vaguely read what you're saying on your lips. So
I'm gonna say it's an ob 4, but you can get an advantage dice because it's a believable lie.
Okay, so I'll fork in conspicuous,
Yep.
falsehood, seduction.
Mm-hmm. Persuasion makes sense here too.
Persuasion.
Noble wise, he's
can
a
I
noble.
fork noble wise? Can I fork in gossip wise? Like
Absolutely.
I've heard around. Yeah. So that's 6 modifiers, and do I do 1 extra just for advantage? So you'd
have 7 modifiers.
7. If I don't pass this, I will be very upset.
5 fate still, so.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, yeah!
Right on the money.
Well, talk to me.
Unfortunately, you did not need a routine test, but you succeeded anyway. Okay, cool. Yeah. So he turns to you, Vivian, and signs simply, right? Like, excuse me, this will only take a moment. And and then steps over to like a side corridor, right, like to talk to you, kind of like out of the way, Marguerite. And he looks at you and he says, "What are you doing? I thought I told you we could never see each other again."
Look, I have not asked you for anything in all this time. I just have a simple question for you.
All right. What is it?
Do you know
The Muffin Man?
of a of a man called Xanatos?
Sorry. Yeah, I can have him make a circles test. Young Lord Friedrich Kleber. He's moderately good at that. He has a 2D reputation as a charming flirt and a 2D affiliation with the nobility. He can fork both of those in. Okay. And I think the ob for him is going to be 3. All right, cool. Right in the money. Yeah, so your question is basically, like, you know where he like frequents, like where he is, how you can get in touch with him, sort of a thing. And he frowns and he says, "Yes, he's a foreign nobleman of some sort. Why?"
I thought you wanted to keep this short and sweet.
Well, now you have me curious.
And I just kind of go, if you were wondering, yes, your daughter's doing very well. And I kind of walk away.
Yeah. So basically, I guess the assumption is he told you like where he can be found. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always leave him wanting more.
Yeah, and he returns to you, Vivienne, and he signs, "Sorry, that was a waste of time." And then he smiles at you, and he says, "Shall we?" And then leads you away to some other thing.
Yeah, she kind of squints, but just goes along with it because she's like, "Okay,
yeah.
That's weird."
Yeah. So Marguerite, you know that Xanatos has been frequenting a particularly okay, so obviously this term doesn't make any sense in this historical and pseudo fantastical setting, but for our modern sensibilities, this would be considered like a hipster pub, right? Like it's like a classy kind of like slightly obscure like gentleman's place, right? Like where people go.
It's rustic. The walls are made out of brick, but the couches are really nice.
Right, exactly. That sort of thing, except whatever that would be in this setting. But it's like a gentleman philosophers club is kind of what it is. Various like political idealists and philosophers get together and talk about how they would change society, but never actually do anything. Yeah.
Excellent. So clearly a place that I would be able to get into and fit in very well.
Right.
Perfect.
I might.
yeah, Joe would. And that is the thing though, Marguerite. I mean, you can't just like randomly show up to this place. It's like for nobles. So like you'd have to find someone who could get you entrance somehow.
No, but I could hang around the outside and use my talents to get information from people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess we see you like pop up to the joint, and what are you just like waiting around sketchily outside?
I mean, like I definitely like go home, put Isabeau to bed, get myself like looking nice,
yes,
and go and try and find one of these classy men who is maybe like a little older, not like the most attractive, who maybe is not used to such advances that I would be putting on. to hopefully give me some information.
Okay, I mean, that's a circles test. Yep.
Man. It wouldn't just be a seduction test of somebody walking out.
No, to find... You had a very particular type of person in mind.
Fine.
Let's see. Circles. So because it's city, because you only have stuff in the city, this would have to be someone who, is a noble or a high-ranking commoner, but has some sort of job in the city, like a minister of some sort, high-level merchant, something like that. So it would be...
Oh, can I wait? Wait, can instead would I be able to wait until like closing time for like the bartender to be like locking up?
Yeah, you do that instead.
Yeah, because that's what I said I wanted to do in the beginning. Silly me changing my plans. No.
Okay. Yeah, so Marguerite, you just wait around outside, and I think at one point... Okay, so question. Do you just go there when it's closing? Or do you wait around until it closes?
Maybe a little before it closes.
Okay. Yeah, so as, people are leaving, most of them are mildly drunk. But, they're arguing with each other loudly, right? Like, it's like, no, you're wrong. Claudius argued that sewage maintenance was absolutely vital for an idealistic society of any sort of utopia. And, as they are walking out. Yeah,
of course.
Exactly. And one of them, I think, like, as they're like arguing about sewage, maintenance, like points to you, because I assume you did like doll yourself up sort of thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Points to you and then says, you, miss, what do you think? Do you think that sewage maintenance is absolutely essential to the running of any large city?
I am appalled that you would be asking a lady like me such a question about base things such as sewage.
Okay, what do you want that comment to? What response do you want that comment to elicit? Do you want them to just ignore you and just walk away?
I don't know. I just don't think that Marguerite would be interested in right now getting into a conversation about sewage.
Right. I mean, that's fair. Yeah, so I think...
I mean, like, if they then decide that they want to talk to me, that's fine. Because
yeah, I was just curious if you had a particular like goal in mind with that comment, or if that was just like, that is how Marguerite
I mean,
feels.
to not talk about sewage and philosophers.
Yeah, sir.
Two things I don't want to talk about.
I think, the other guy says, see, what did I tell you? Nobody cares about sewage, Lorne. And then the guy, apparently whose name is Lorne, says, you have not read enough Claudius. I'm absolutely ashamed of you. And then he turns back to you, Marguerite, and says, I apologize for the base description of sewage, but it's vital. And then he just like walks away. And you can tell they're both kind of mildly drunk, so they just kind of stumble away. And you realize at that point, right, like after they step away, that Xanatos is now like leaning against the front of the of the establishment, like just like giving you like a inquisitive look, like eyebrow raised, kind of like a slight smirk on his face. He's still wearing like, this gaudy nobleman's outfit that's 4 years out of date, and he has this like ostentatious red cloak.
I just kind of walk up to him and go, fancy meeting you here.
Are you following me, Marguerite?
Following you? No.
He's still raising an eyebrow.
Stalking you, yes.
Gathering information, yes. Not following. I mean, if this is considered following, then I could ask you the same thing.
He nods. It's like, that is entirely fair. I guess I did follow you first. What is it you would like, Miss LeBlanc?
Just trying to figure you out.
Oh, figure me out. I would just like to warn you already. I am married.
That hasn't stopped people before.
It will stop me.
Okay. Well, that's not the only thing I'm trying to figure out.
Isn't it?
Why were you following me in the first place?
I already told you. I'm interested. You're a rather unremarkable individual, all things considered. And I really don't mean that to be offensive in any way. It's just in the grand scheme of the universe, of the way gods and men work, you're rather insignificant. And I just find it odd that you're caught in the center of all of this.
What is this?
The first thing you're going to have to know about me, besides the fact that I'm happily married with 6 children, mind you, is that I am hopelessly cryptic.
Well, it seems like we're going to be playing a fun little game for a while then.
So you're just going to continue following me, trying to gather any information you can on who the strange Xanatos is and just what information he might have on something that's beyond your ken.
Would you say beyond my what?
Ken. As in, like, beyond your circle of knowledge and influence and skill. And I think he says, "How's Isabeau?"
Who are the other 3 that you were talking about?
The other 3? Listen, Marguerite, I know that I've probably gotten myself into this by showing up and basically giving you some sort of cryptic riddle that now you're beating your head over. I would just like to say also, I'm actually quite impressed that you managed to find me here. Though, I suppose I've never been the one who's good at stealth. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted there. Marguerite, I can't just tell you. Not only is it much less fun that way, it's also not my secret to tell. And there are things happening that I would interfere with if I gave you too much information. Also, I don't know you, and I don't really have any obligation to tell you anything. I've already given you a piece of information, and I hope that you take it to heart. And he starts to, like, turn away. And he turns back and he says, "Do you believe in the fantastic, Miss LeBlanc?"
I don't not believe in it.
Kind of smiles. Once upon a time, this world was filled with the fantastic, the remarkable, the significant. And I think it might become that way again, but I don't think it will be on the right terms.
Okay, well, you said that you won't give me any more information because you don't know me. Well, why don't we get to know each other?
I already told you I'm married, Marguerite.
No,
he
we
just
can.
chuckles like he's like, I know. It's rather late. Not sure it's at all proper for the two of us to be seen gallivanting around at this hour. I'll tell you what, Marguerite. How about you meet me at... I'm trying to think of a... I think he says, how about we go for a stroll in the royal parks tomorrow afternoon?
I guess I could fit that in. I'll have to do dance rehearsals early, and I have to be at the opera house by a certain time for rehearsals there.
Don't worry, we'll be back plenty before that time. Now, granted, Marguerite, I'm not just going to tell you everything, but I am willing to get to know you. That will help me do my job, and you might actually learn a thing or two. It will basically be an accident on my part. I'm horrible at keeping secrets.
Do your job. What would that be?
Tomorrow, Marguerite. We'll have this conversation tomorrow. Good night. And then he, like, does a flourishing bow, kind of like flourishes his cape. And then...
Oh, he has a cape. How fun.
His, like, red cape.
Oh, yes.
He always wears the same red cape. All right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and take our first break there. And we'll come back for more Lavender Shadows right after this. And maybe we'll find out if Josephine is going to maim herself for magic. Stick around. We got more Lavender Shadows right after this.